So ESPN is suggesting that we trade away Tanner Hudson because we have so many tight ends, and in all honesty, even Mike Gesicki, who is supposed to be our #1 tight end, isn't even getting utilized that much because, again, we utilize Eric all the time. We have Drew Sample out there. We have so many receivers that our tight end position is kind of becoming nullified. Now, of course, right now, knock on wood, no injuries are happening, so we can kind of, play with a little bit of free real estate of having so many options. But, again, we do have a lot of tight ends. And Tanner Hudson, who was the darling last year, before he got Mike Gesicki, before he got Eric All, before he got Tanner McLaughlin, before he got all those guys, he was the guy. Well, this year, he's only played 2 games. He did deal with injuries. He only has 18 yards on 2 receptions. So ESPN says the 29-year-old tight end with limited track record of production aren't going to transform an offense. But Hudson could be a reliable pair of hands in an offense that uses multi-tight ends. The Eagles were using a 12 personnel on a league-high 33.6% of their snaps before Dallas Goedert went down because of a hamstring injury Sunday, which is expected to cost him some time. So ESPN Bill Barwell is suggesting that we trade him for a late-round pick. Right, we just trade Tanner Hudson for a late-round pick. I would love this, to be honest, because Tanner Hudson, you got to keep in mind, we get this guy from the 49ers practice squad. This guy, or sorry, not 49ers practice squad, 49ers cut him after preseason. We pick him up. We're utilizing this guy. He's 30 years old. And really, he, again, did really good last year, but this year we just don't need him as much, so he's not really utilized. If we could turn a guy that we just pick up off the auction house, or I'd say auction house, but the waiver wire, and turn him into draft picks, that could be a humongous W in all honesty. So I will say, normally I'm not too much of a fan of agreeing with most trades that I see. This is a trade I think would be awesome. You turn a guy that you signed out of nowhere into not only a productive member of your offense last year, but now you also get some capital back for him, and you move him when you're in a situation where you don't need the extra tight end. You get an extra roster spot available. You can either go pick up someone on free agency, or you could activate Poison Ivy and actually utilize him. Or, instead of trading him for draft picks, why don't we just look at their roster? The roster we're trading with, the Philadelphia Eagles. So, I would love to sit here and tell you that the guy that I would say 100% go for is Moro Jabo. You guys have been a fan of the channel for a little bit of time. You know who Moro Jabo is. He's a guy I really wanted the Bengals to get last year. Obviously, we don't get him in the end. He goes to the Eagles. He could be an option that we could trade for. He's a little bit down the depth chart. He's their second defensive end. And again, hasn't really played too much in the NFL yet. He played 3 games first year. This year so far, he's played every single game, but he hasn't really put up any stats because, again, he's kind of a backup. But why not? If you're going to get rid of Tanner Hudson, maybe get Moro Jabo. I believe they selected him in the 5th or 6th round. So get yourself a pass rusher. Get yourself a guy that maybe can be utilized in that way. Maybe he could work out in the end here. I know, for example, they have another guy on their roster, Brandon Graham. Now, he's a little bit older. He's 36 years old. But maybe if we can work out a deal here, we could trade Tanner Hudson. They get themselves a tight end, and we get Brandon Graham. Older veteran, but hey, it's another option on the defensive line. It's going to help us out with our defensive line issues. And maybe we do something like that. Like, I feel like we could also trade for a player. It doesn't just have to be, we trade for draft picks. I know ESPN, that's what they're suggesting. But in reality, let's trade for a player. Let's go get Brandon Graham. You know, again, it might be a little more difficult than just throwing in Tanner Hudson, but maybe we throw in, you know, Tanner Hudson in a 6th-round pick, and we get ourselves a guy who, again, might be older, but still has some left to give. So far this year, Brandon Graham has 1 sack on the season. He's played 5 games. He's only started 1 of them. He's a backup. You know, a little bit more of a veteran player, but we're trading a veteran player away. I think we can make this work. You know, I really do like the idea of, you know, moving Tanner Hudson. Especially, again, because you literally got him for nothing, and then you're getting something out of him. If not, this guy's just going to be on our roster and sit and do nothing the whole entire season. Might as well move for a player we need. Because right now, we need any help we can get on defense. Defense last week was really good. But improving that defensive line even more, continuing it and making it better, that's what we need to do right now. So, tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. But I'd say right now, Tanner Hudson, let's move him and let's improve this defense. Even if it's not to Philly, maybe to somebody else. Get on the phone. I know, you know, Duke Tobin doesn't like trading draft picks. He doesn't like trading late-round draft picks. Well, if that's the case, then trade a player. You know, trade Tanner Hudson for another player, okay? Maybe don't include a draft pick in there. Maybe Moro Jabo is the guy. You know, I feel like Tanner Hudson sitting on our bench doing nothing and having injury problems. Probably better to have Moro Jabo, who's young, developing, a pass rusher, and use him as a rotational guy. If it doesn't work, okay, we traded for a guy that gives us a better chance to win, and it didn't work out. That's pretty much that. You know, it isn't like a game-breaking type of thing if we can't get a 5th-round guy here that we trade for to work out. Again, in the worst-case scenario, in the best-case scenario, it does work out. And even if he becomes an average starter for an average guy, it's better than have a guy on the bench. So, definitely tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. Kind of be interested to see what ends up happening. I know the Bengals don't really love to trade for people. They don't love to trade for other players. But right now, especially with our situation being given, listen, this is a Super Bowl roster. We can't piss away this excellence. It's time to change the rules. It's time to change tradition. It's time to, you know, act like a Super Bowl winning team here. And sometimes for a Super Bowl winning team, you got to go out there and you got to get the final piece of the puzzle. Even if you don't want to trade draft picks, trade player for player. Tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you guys next one. Peace out.